Stay tuned. Your program will begin shortly.
Stay tuned. Your program will begin shortly. Stay tuned. Your program will begin shortly. Stay tuned. Your program will begin shortly.
Stay tuned. Your program will begin shortly.
Welcome to High Valley Sports Online, our weekly edition of the Coaches Show, live from the Harp and Habit in Steubenville, Ohio. This is Reno Saccoccia along with Jimmy DiCarlo in our first session, Coach Reno Saccoccia, sponsored by Fort Steuben Maintenance. Thank you for listening in, watching in. Reno Saccoccia will be followed by Andrew Connor of Indian Creek. We have our sponsorship of Dan Salee from the Ohio Motor Group, followed by Frank Sisinni of Weir High, Eric Meek of Catholic Central, and John McCune of Weir Madonna. We're here with Coach Reno Saccoccia. Coach, season's going well, off to an impressive start. Let's review your last game, which was Wheeling Park, which you guys looked pretty good.
Well, I thought we looked better. I really felt that the offense was much smoother, and if you look at the way we played defense, I thought that we just we controlled our gaps pretty well, and that's the name of the game. And I think we've been tackling pretty good. So far so good. Just with the fundamentals, and that's what we're preaching this week. Not who we're playing. We're trying to get better every week at what we do.
Well, it's nice, Coach, I believe, to worry about yourself, let the opponents come as they may. But, I agree your team has gotten better every week. The offensive line has improved. They're getting after people. The defensive team, I think, is swarming to the football and making tackles. You're tackling in open space, and you're getting productivity from a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I know that we talk about that daily as a coaching staff. As the year goes on, keep developing depth, and we do that at practice. We like offensively, we have two deep at each position, and every three plays they switch up, except for receivers. Receivers switch up every play. And we run three tailbacks, three fullbacks, and two quarterbacks. So, offensively, we work hard to develop depth. Defensively, it's a little bit harder. We have a backup for each defensive lineman, but for our two inside linebackers, we have one backup. For our two outside linebackers, we have one backup. We have one backup corner and one backup safety. So a lot less depth defensively, but a third guy is really deep. So, when you have a third safety, that's a good safety.
Coach, on that point, I want to touch on, you talk about building depth, and we all been around high school football long enough that, from your first team to your second team, there's a major drop-off. But it seems that your kids, that third player that you're getting in there as a guard and a tackle and a tight end, you're not having much drop-off, so your depth is coming along and you're maintaining, pretty much a balanced lineup regardless of your personnel.
Well, we really don't sub the whole second team, all at one time. But, we do put a third guard in there and maybe the second tight end at one time. Then the next series, a third tackle and maybe the backup tight end on the other side. So we don't just put a whole second line in, but we try to get them all in during the game. We don't put them all in together. And, I think that, that there would be a major drop-off. But, as long as we have it organized and Joe knows up in the box that we have our backup left guard in. Then we have certain plays we know, or a backup right tackle when we have certain plays, or we don't have our tight end this time. We might have to put another extra lineman in. So as long as he knows who's in the game, we're able to continue calling our offense. And all it is a position change. Like instead of a tight end being right, we might go north, which would be guard, tackle, tackle. Then the guard and backup tight end are on the other side. So that's in. That's how we go. I mean, but we try to get everybody in. It's just not on first line and second line. We don't do that. But we do that with our defensive front. We'll go first group, second group, and then we go a speed group. Like third and long, we'll go NASCAR. Get the faster kids in there. But as far as a first group and a second group, we never do that like that.
Well, you were up 7-3, cruised to 27-3 halftime lead, and won going away 48-17 over a pretty doggone good Wheeling Park team. Speaking of depth, here's some stats from last week. I'm sure you know them. Rushing 32 carries for 287 yards. Minifield 8 for 98 and a touchdown. Hython 7 for 57 and a touchdown. Bryant 6 for 56 and a touchdown. Davis 4 for 35 and a touchdown. And Hopkins 4 for 21 and a touchdown. Those were all on the ground. So you talk about depth. I also thought you had great balance between your running and passing. We've been talking about your defense for weeks. We know your special teams is about second to none.
I think our receivers, I think we had 7 kids receive the football.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you,
Yeah.
Davis was 13 for 17 for 195 yards and a touchdown. Now we want to talk about your offense really clicking on all cylinders. Great balance, great depth.
Well, I don't think we're clicking on all cylinders, but I do think we're improving, and I think the chemistry and the timing is getting better. You know, it's easy to get timing when you have 11 guys in there and they're all in there together. But like we said, you know, our first 11 isn't always in there at the same time. They might start the game, but they're not in there again until the last drive of the first half, the first drive of the second half, and then if they're ending the game. You know, so our first line's in there probably for 4 series by themselves as an actual first line. Because we do have a couple offensive linemen that play defense, but it just takes a little bit of organization and have trusted in the kids that you put in there that they're executing, and they only have certain plays, they only have certain. We know when they're in there what plays we're running, what they do good, and that's what we try to stick to.
Well, Coach, I think, I want to credit Wheeling Park for, maintaining. There's your milkshake right there, courtesy of the Harp and the Habit. My man, even though he's an Indian Creeker, he's on time, I tell you that. But, I want to credit Wheeling Park for maintaining the so-called rivalry with Steubenville Big Red. Whenever I know in scheduling purposes it's tough for you to play Valley teams, but it's a game that should be played, and Coach Doc, he plays it, for better or worse.
He's they had 2 coaches there that really that I thought that we had a good rapport with, and now Lindsley and then Dover and New Philly were part of the OVAC, but I don't think they both got into another league, but we're keeping our schedule with Dover, and New Philadelphia's not playing us anymore. But there's certain games in the Valley that should be played, not just us, but other teams too. And but this ain't the time to worry about that. Just Wheeling Park has a good team. We hope they win some games. Every time they win, it helps us, and every time we win, it helps them. So we wish them the best of luck, and hopefully they're wishing us the best of luck.
Well, moving forward, Coach, looking ahead, you have another OVAC team, which I was surprised. I mean, I apologize for the fact of not following, what games are going on. But when you told me on Sunday that Lindsley was 0-5, I mean, I was shocked because, they were very, very good the last 3 years. I mean, but how do you look forward to playing Lindsley this week?
Well, like I told our players, and like I told you Sunday, it's not who we're playing. Right now it's about us getting better. And anytime you sort of look at somebody in a funny way, it comes back and it bites you. So we're just preparing us for what they do, and we're preparing us for what we need to do, and we're preparing us for what we need to do to get better. Because we've come a long way. And I don't want to take nothing from our kids. We've come a long way since the first game, but I think we still have a long way to go. And our goal, we have one goal at the beginning of the year: win enough games to get 2 home games. And so we just got to keep winning. We just got to keep getting better, because the schedule doesn't get easier. And one thing about Lindsley is, good or bad, they come after you, and they're physical. They're a physical football team. They're a well-coached football team, and they have a little bit different philosophy offensively because of their offensive coordinator got the job at Buckeye Local. But as far as what they're doing, they're still in the same type of spread offense, and they're still playing defense. They're playing pretty good defense. They're just turning the ball over.
Well, in the state, coach, you wanted 2 home games. Right now, you're second in Region 11 behind Watterson in the computer polls. I know you don't look at those things till after the 7th game this week, so maybe next week you can talk to us on that a little bit. In the, I think it's the Associated Press poll, you're down to 5th behind Tuskegee Central Catholic, Watterson, Ursuline, and Cleveland St. Joe's, but 5th is not too shabby.
No, those are 4 good football teams also. I mean, Watterson's proven, Ursuline's proven over the last couple of years. I don't know a whole lot about Tuskegee. You haven't seen them play. And I don't know who the 4th team was, you said.
That Toledo Central Catholic
Toledo
was one,
Central Catholic.
and Cleveland St. Joe,
Villa St. Joe's, I mean, their back's committed to Ohio State, but I don't think he's been playing the last couple weeks. But those are good teams, and 5th is 5th, and that gives us a chance to try to get up to 4th next week.
Well, no, you're second in the region, so you've got 2 home games if it ended today.
I thought you were talking AP.
Yeah, you could move up on the ladder, but not as important as the computer polls. One last one that I have for you. People don't understand sometimes. You're going to get some unsportsmanlike conduct penalties when you teach your kids to be aggressive, okay? But the thing I would have been the most proud of, if it was me last week, you had 2 penalties for 25 yards. Last year when we did your games, I thought there were a lot of games, not even talking playoffs, where there were some undisciplined penalties after plays were over. Seems like you have corrected that problem from last year somewhat.
Well, I don't know if we've corrected it or depends who the officials are also. If you look at who the officials are on Friday, they're a lot different than other officials. But, we've been working hard, and I told you, the only time I've ever been disappointed in not just our team, not just our players, but myself included, was against Kettering Alter last year, the last game of the season. And it wasn't just our players that I was disappointed. I was disappointed in myself also. So I just feel that the harder you play, the more you have to talk about the line. And our kids, we get a lot of kids at the football, and they get graded for being in the picture. And but there's a line. And, the great players don't cross the line. The players that think they're great and think they're better than they are sometimes cross the line. But also that comes down to my position too. And, if you see something on film, we either coach it or you allow it to happen. So it's not always the kids, whatever is out there is my responsibility, and whatever's out there that's negative is my responsibility. So hopefully we're improved, but we really don't preach it. It comes with it. It comes with, everybody wearing their socks the same, everybody wearing the same shoes, everybody wearing their pants the right way, everybody doing the little things, everybody being at school on time, everybody turning in their grades every Thursday. Then that carries on to the field. And if you're not doing those little things, then that carries on to the field also. So I appreciate the type of kids we have, and I appreciate their parents. We got some parents that are on the same page we are.
Well, you're my brother, Reno, and I love you. You know that. You're the strength of the family. And I've seen you sit down, and you have in reality, a bottomless pit for a stomach. But I got to tell you something, brother. In the past 5-6 weeks, Tony Lelly, 2 sandwiches, Lelly, he is the champion when it comes to eating. I mean, you have 1 milkshake, he's going to have 2. You have 1 fish sandwich, he's having 3, and he's really made his mark in the family. Gussie's the biggest liar, and Tony is the biggest eater.
Hey, he's the only guy I know, Raymond, can have a full meal and still eat both trays of wings afterward.
His eyes got so big when Reno got that milkshake, he said, my God, what was that? So My man. Hey,
That's my one weakness I have is ice cream.
well,
And
I appreciate you coming here. You know, this segment's been sponsored by Fort Steuben Maintenance. Want to thank Jimmy Saltzman for everything he does for Ohio Valley Sports Online, as well as Steubenville Big Red. Coach, thank you for your time, and
Thank
we'll wish you the best of luck this week, and we'll see you Wednesday.
thank you.
This is Ohio Valley
Thank you,
Sports.
Jimmy,
this
also.
week.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay.
All right, this is Ohio Valley Sports Online, the home of Tony Two Sandwiches Lally. We'll be right back.
You know, Fort Steuben Maintenance should be your first choice when it comes to any and all construction projects, whether it's commercial or residential. Make Fort Steuben Maintenance your first call. You can rely on them to be the experts when it comes to roofing, concrete, plumbing, carpentry, just about any job that needs done. Fort Steuben Maintenance, they're fully licensed and bonded and will even give you a free estimate. Fort Steuben Maintenance. You want the number? 740-283-4890.
Ohio Valley Sports Online is your sports authority. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Live streaming high school and NCAA sports, plus weekly football coaches shows right here on Ohio Valley Sports Online.
You know, Fort Steuben Maintenance should be your first choice when it comes to any and all construction projects, whether it's commercial or residential. Make Fort Steuben Maintenance your first call. You can rely on them to be the experts when it comes to roofing, concrete, plumbing, carpentry, just about any job that needs done. Fort Steuben Maintenance, they're fully licensed and bonded and will even give you a free estimate. Fort Steuben Maintenance. You want the number? 740-283-4890.
You're listening to Ohio Valley Sports Online, the sports authority. If you want to get your message heard, visit us on Facebook and leave a message. Ohio Valley Sports Online is on any connected device, phones, tablets, smart TVs. Follow us on Facebook and don't forget to subscribe free to our YouTube page. Type in OVSO. You will get immediately notified the instant we go live with our next broadcast.
SVRTA can connect you to all kinds of destinations. Whether you need to connect to the Pittsburgh Airport or connect across the river to Weirton, SVRTA has the connection you need. SVRTA and its connectivity can also connect you to Wheeling, St. Clairsville, Robinson, and downtown Pittsburgh. With SVRTA and its affordable annual pass, wherever you need to go, SVRTA can connect you there.
Everhart Bove Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bove ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bove Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
All right, we're here back at the Harp and the Habit with Andrew No Excuses Corner, sponsored by SVRTA and Everhart Bow Funeral Home. In this segment, Andrew, you're Coach of the Year in my book, brother. I mean, you have stayed the course, getting your brains beat in for 2 years, and at the beginning here, you told me, you know, Raymond, I told my kids no excuses, and you have rose to the occasion. I want to congratulate you to this point. I wish you well. I know your mother and father are not in their best days, and I want to wish you well on that as well, and send out our best wishes from Ohio Valley Sports Online to your parents as well. But I want to congratulate you on a convincing win with Bel Air. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, you know, it didn't start off the way I wanted. I mean, we were moving the ball. Our defense, you know, again, did its job, got us off the field, and we went on offense. And then, you know, a very poor play call by the head football coach, and it was a pick six, and we were down 6-0. And then, you know, I kind of pouted a little bit on the play call, and we ran the next 33 plays.
Your brother David told me you pouted a lot on the sideline.
I do. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. And And we finished, what I thought was, one of those games. Our motto for the year was find a way to win, and our kids do that, and I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of the coaching staff this week. I'm proud of the kids, and one of the cool things for us is, we set a school record. We ran the ball 70 times in the football game, and there was not a lot of deception there in the game. I mean, we ran on our wishbone, and kids got off the ball, and kids play hard, and I think that's the important thing. If you want to turn the corner and try to go forward from where we were at the last couple of years, I think the biggest thing is your kids have to play hard and they have to play physical, and that was one of the things we challenged the kids to in the offseason in the weight room was use what you're doing now to make sure that when we get into a football game, we can finish a football game, and that's what we did. We got a big turnover in the fourth quarter, and we were able to take the last 6.5 minutes off the clock in the wishbone. They knew we were going to run the ball, and we effectively were able to run the clock. And I'm proud of the kids. I really am. I mean, people don't realize how hard it's been the last 2 years to, line up all the time and have a kid that's 14 or 15, and people say, what's wrong? Why can't you guys win? And the kids never quit. And that's the best thing for me as a head football coach was those guys came back every week and they did what I asked them to do, and they're getting what they've earned, and that is they're getting to be able to play football the old-fashioned way, and they enjoy it. Our kids love it, and we holler for the wishbone, and you can see our fans are all excited, the kids are all excited, and that's the mentality, and it says a lot about where our kids are right now and where our program is right now.
Well, you had some good depth there in your running attack. First, we got to give kudos to the offensive line. You're not going to get those gains without that, but let's talk specifically. McGee had 30 carries for 140 yards. I had Pinnell with 17 carries for 84 yards, and Major 11 carries for 68 yards. It seemed after the interception you were going to keep it on the ground, but I was glad to see Starkey throw a touchdown pass to Bodo into the game to gain that confidence, because Ian's had a good year so far, and I'm sure you're going to need his passing ability down the road.
Wait a minute, Danny, wait a minute. We got Andrew's milkshake here. Get him his milkshake, man. First things first, man. Make sure you get that. That's one of his players.
You got to answer the question right, or you don't get it. Okay, here we go.
Okay. We threw the ball in the second half. We threw to our tight ends, and we set up well. Our running game was going well. Ian does a good job of deception with the football, and he threw two 2-point plays, one to Caleb and one to Jomar, our tight ends there, and then we hit Caleb 2 or 3 times behind them on pass plays where they just bid up and we were able to throw over the top. So, I think that, right now we're able, to mix our passing game in with our running game. And, and I think it's a lot of Ian. I mean, Ian's really kind of accepted the role of quarterback. And, when he comes over to get to play, I mean, he's a very cerebral football player. And that's what you want your quarterback. He comes over and we're able to talk, about what we're going to do. And he understands why I'm doing it. And I think it makes it better for us. I mean, we've, that relationship between, offensive coordinator, head coach, and quarterback is an important one, because you need to be on the same page, and he is, just been remarkable in how fast he's grown up as our quarterback. And again, he'll do whatever. It's not one of those quarterbacks that's worried about his stats. He wants to win.
I think
decisions. He's made
the
great decisions.
2 games that we've done, he's made great decisions, whether to run or whether to throw. Really, really smart, intelligent kid.
He is, and again, he gets us lined up. A lot of the things he does, a lot of people don't realize, we give him, the ability when we go in our unbalanced wishbone to find the bubble and run the play to the bubble. And, Ian's done a very good job of getting us lined up, getting us where we need to be, and then running the ball to where it should be. And that says a lot about, a junior in high school to be able to run that offense. It's not, people just think we line up and just mash it, and that's what it does look like, I guess. But
and the first-year quarterback.
First-year quarterback. Yeah. And, he's done very well with it, and he's accepted what we are and who we are, and he's made the most of it. And I think that shows a lot about his growth. And I feel, comfortable enough to know that if somebody were to stop us from running the football, it's not, oh, my God, what do we do? I mean, Ian would just throw the football. I mean, so I feel good about where we're at. I feel good about where he's at. And I think he's done a really good job of being able to run that offense. And, he's the one that's kind of, our point guard, because, he's making those checks, and, he knows when to give it to our tailbacks, and then, every once in a while give it to our fullback, because a lot of times people forget, we think we have, the perfect fullback for the wishbone because, Jace is our fullback and he loves contact. And if you're going to run the wishbone, your backs have to block for the other back or this doesn't work. I mean, because you're sending two backs into the hole behind that offensive line. And so, the offensive line did their job. And if you watch the offensive line, they don't just block. They go to the whistle. I mean, they don't just step in front. They know that their job is to finish their blocks. And when you watch the game and you go back and you see how many times we finished the block with, a pancake, we finished the block. I mean, and our offensive line take great pride in playing hard, physical, clean football, that the way it's supposed to be. And that's helped us be able to, kind of run our offense the way we want to run our offense.
Andrew, I mean, like you had such an awesome turnaround, and you could describe it in many ways. But what do you attribute, your kids getting up off the bat and really putting in a outstanding performance throughout to this point?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for us was, we set two simple goals. We had to play better defense, and we had to be able to run the football. And both of those things were things that we started back in January because it first started with you had to get bigger and stronger in the weight room. Your attendance had to be good. Your kids had to push themselves, and that was our number one goal. We went and we played defense now this year. Our defense has been lights out. Our defense plays physical. We tackle better. We don't give up big plays. We do our job. And then offensively, everybody had to buy into the fact that we had to play physical football. When the program was on, the track we were on prior to the last couple of years, we were able to run the football and then throw off of our running game, which we're doing right now. We're able to run the football, and that's what teams knowing. I mean, there's no, and I wish I was, some sort of ingenious type of play caller. I mean, we run the ball. I mean, that's, we get in the wishbone, something that, teams did, 30, 40 years ago. So we're not putting in some sort of formation where somebody says, man, look at this guy. It's the wishbone. Double tight, three backs across the back. Here we come. But I think it was the attitude. I think, what happened was our kids had two choices. Feel sorry for yourself and let this continue, or say to yourself, we've had enough. We've grown up. Let's accept what we failed at, which was, a lot of things we didn't do well, starting with me last year. And our emphasis was on get better, stay together, and find a way to win. And I'm very proud of those kids. It started, like I told you before, our seniors have done a great job of leadership. Our younger guys have followed through. And my coaching staff has said in the offseason, Coach, we're in. We're going to do whatever we can to make this work. And you needed everybody on board. And then, you see how we're slowly winning over, some of the people that may have been detractors. And the other people that are still out there detracting, we don't care. That was the other thing I told the kids. You may not win over everybody. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is we come in this locker room.
That's right.
It's us. We're the ones that put the time and effort in. But I do believe, our parents bought in. Everybody wanted this to be a success. From all the help we get with our boosters, from all the help we get with our Mothers Club, everybody wanted a turnaround. We were all on the same page, and the kids have been great. They just led us through this. And, right now we're, getting ready to play Harrison. And, our kids have accepted, you have to be ready every week, too, because you're going to get everybody's best. The one thing about playing our schedule is we play teams that are used to playing us. I mean, we play teams, we played in the junior high, we play rivalry games. And so You've got to be ready to play because, 2 weeks ago it was Brooke. They were ready to play. The week before that it was Weird. And last week it was Blair. This week we play Harrison, which is sharing 22 with us. They're going to come down the road. We play these guys. We play a schedule where you don't have a chance to rest. You don't have a chance to say, well, here comes the breather. There are no breathers. It doesn't matter what a record is. And I know, people always say it's cliche, and it doesn't. It does. I mean, when you have to play a team that's going to give you their very best because it's a rivalry game, that's what you're getting. And I know Coach Hayes is going to have his kids ready. I know they're fighting through a lot of injuries. I feel bad because they've had some really good football players get injured, but they're not going to feel bad when they get on the bus. They're going to come down. They're going to play hard. And if we're not ready to play, which I told our kids, it may be tough, but it's life. You're going to get their best. You're going to play a team. The rest of the year now, every team we play is a rivalry game.
Absolutely.
And so they have to be ready to play, and no one feels sorry for you. No one's going to say, hey, you played a really physical game down at Blair. Hey, it's okay. It's not okay. You got to be ready to play football. And I think our kids have accepted. I watched it practice the last 2 days. Our kids are ready to go. They look like they're ready to play already, which, that's what I love about these guys. They have fun. They enjoy practice. They enjoy being with each other. I mean, there's a bond there that maybe we didn't have. Maybe it's my fault we didn't have it before, but we have it now. And it makes things easier. It's a lot more fun to be at practice when you see your kids excited to be at practice, not trying to find out ways not to come. And I'm not saying, they're saying, oh, great practice, like we can't wait. But, high school kids, there's a lot of things to be thinking about. They're coming to get better, and I think we have. I think we slowly have gotten better each week, and we need to, because I think each week the teams we're playing, they're getting a little bit better. So
that's the goal, right?
We've matched that, and
That's
I'm
right.
proud of them. I really am.
Well, how about Harrison this week? What can we look for?
Well, Harrison's had two different offenses because, they had a really, really good tailback in Michael Quito. And, we've had a tough time trying to stop
he's
him.
a stud.
And he's been injured. And so they kind of went from, people think I'm old school. Coach Hayes was in a single wing. So they were single winging this thing to snap it right to him. They weren't even just giving the quarterback to hand it off to him. They were actually just snapping it to him and coming downhill in the old wing tee. Now, last week when they played St. Clairsville, unfortunately, Michael couldn't play. So they kind of been back to the offense they've been running against us the last couple of years. A lot of spread, a lot of different receivers, one back in the backfield, quarterback in the gun. So, again, that's a little different than what we've seen, so we had to practice a little different for that. And Harrison, a lot of the teams we've played, we've been bigger than. Fortunately for us, some of our kids have grown up, and they're big up front. But Harrison is really big up front. So it's going to be a matchup of, it's going to seem like a couple thousand pounds are in there going at each other. So, they're going to present some difficulties with their offense line because it's not going to be just we're bigger so we can move them. We're going to have to really play hard and do everything right for us to be successful. And like I said, they're coming off a great year last year. I think Coach Hayes does a great job with his kids. They play hard. We're going to have to be ready to play that. We're going to have to be willing to take on that challenge and play, with the same type of passion and energy that I know Harrison's going to bring down the road when they come to play us.
Well, you got a lot of points last week, beating a 4-1 Belair team, and some of the opponents you've beaten got some wins last week. So now you're up to 9th in your region. We're really hoping that not only you're going to get in, but get at least one home game, if not more, in the playoffs. And I think the community excitement is there. The games I've done, I've seen your fans probably more excited than I've seen for years this year, and it may have carried over from last year's baseball season. We did talk about Harrison. Me and Coach Steve were down there last week and felt bad they had another key injury, too, in that game, but it is part of the game. How are you health-wise this week?
Well, we're also banged up. We lost, one of the better linebackers I've had, in Justin Vergona. We lost him back in week 2, and it's been very difficult. You're talking about a kid who started as a sophomore for us, and he was part of this kind of turn-the-page group. He was a senior this year. He had been our defensive leader for 2 years, and he was really coming into his own. The first game he had 15 tackles. In the second game when he got injured here, he had 8 at the half.
He also helped you on the offense.
Helped us on the offense.
Yeah.
He was really running the ball. So that one's been tough for us to lose him for the year. And then, we lost Brennan Monroe, one of our offensive linemen. And some of our backs are pretty beat up. When you run the wishbone like we do and you run the ball that often, you're going to get your bang here or there. So our backs are a little beat up, but, we know what it's like. You're in the middle of a grind now, and, like I told the kids, it's a lot better to be playing meaningful games in the second half of your season than it's been the last couple of years when it didn't matter. So, our kids are excited, and we told some of our kids, Bruce had to get in the wishbone last week because we were dinged up a little bit, and Bruce came out and he did his job. We have other kids. We told them, hey, this is the part of the year where, you get your sophomores and maybe a freshman or maybe a junior hasn't played a lot, and it's your turn now. This is why you practiced. You need to step up and give us some reps. Maybe it's 4 plays, maybe it's 20 plays. Nobody knows. In Bruce's case, heck, he came out and he rushed the ball 12 times while playing linebacker for us. There's a sophomore that we needed, and he accepted the challenge. So, that's what we're asking our younger kids to do is, hey, we're going to need you. Harrison's going to need their younger guys. This is the time of year when, high school football, you really find out, why it's a tough thing to do playing high school football, because these little injuries or these little, playing every game and doing this, it starts to mount up on you. That little thing in week 1 is now a little bit bigger come week 7. And so I think our kids are excited because some of these younger kids have been waiting, and they get an opportunity. They saw what Bruce did in his opportunity. I think some of these other guys said, hey, I've been practicing. I'm ready. Give me a chance. Let me see what I can do. So we're hoping that's the case on Friday.
Well, there's hoping you go 6-1. We're going to let you go. Enjoy that milkshake, Coach.
I appreciate it. I've been watching that thing.
Absolutely.
I was getting a little nervous.
Wish you the best of luck this week.
I was starting to watch some of the peanut gallery looking at it, so I didn't want to.
Good luck.
Thanks, buddy.
Wish you the best of luck, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's a High Valley Sports Online. This segment brought to you by Everhart Bove Funeral Home as well as SVRTA. This is Andrew Connor's segment. We're going to come up with our sponsor segment with Dan Salee from Ohio Motor Group. We'll be right back.
Everhart Bove Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bove ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bove Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgles.
SVRTA can connect you to all kinds of destinations. Whether you need to connect to the Pittsburgh Airport or connect across the river to Weirton, SVRTA has the connection you need. SVRTA and its connectivity can also connect you to Wheeling, St. Clairsville, Robinson, and downtown Pittsburgh. With SVRTA and its affordable annual pass, wherever you need to go, SVRTA can connect you there.
Looking for a great deal on a pre-owned vehicle? Ohio Motor Group has you covered. Visit us in Steubenville, Bridgeport, or online. We've got cars, trucks, and SUVs to fit every budget and lifestyle. Bad credit? No problem. We offer guaranteed credit approval. If we can't approve you, no one can. Check out our inventory online at ohiomotorgroup.com or stop by one of our locations today. Drive away in your dream car.
Okay, we're back here at our sponsorship segment, which we love to bring to you because it's the people that make it available to us to broadcast these games and get into your homes with these student athletes that we love to bring attention to. This is Dan Salee from Ohio Motor Group. Dan, thanks for coming on. Thank you for your sponsorship. We're very appreciative. Ohio Motor Group, 2 locations. Tell us what you got going on, Dan.
We have a lot going on. Actually, I want to thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys putting up with my craziness. But we do have a lot going on. I've got over 100 vehicles online between both locations. Like you said, guaranteed credit approval. Over 15 finance companies we were partnered up with. So, if you have some credit bumps in the road, we can get that taken care of. We also have 5 prime banks we deal with. So for those stellar credit guys, we can compete with any rate out there. If you Google us, you get 4.1 Google rating, 131 Google reviews. So if you go to ohiomotorgroup.com, search your inventory, you can buy with confidence. We're out here for you. And like I said, I appreciate you guys having me. I don't know what I could add to the show other than run some of your listeners off, but thank you.
No, it's not about that, Danny. I mean, we really do appreciate you. This segment is set up for the sponsors, and we know Ohio Motor Group and your partner, who is a great friend of me and Jimmy's, Frank Colella, who's gone on to bigger and better things upstairs, watching over us. Ohio Motor Group was yours and his baby that you have brought to fruition.
Absolutely. And, we definitely miss Frank a lot. We had a golf tournament last month. You did good, Ray. We did a lot of things, but there was something crazy that happened. Some guy fall out of your golf cart or something, Ray?
Yes, he did. My college roommate, who was a walk-on middle guard, ended up being a captain. I brought him down to play with me. He fell out of the golf court and broke his shoulder. Okay. So much for him. He'll never get invited back.
Okay, was alcohol involved? That's all I want to know.
No.
Did you push him?
No alcohol. Just wet ground.
You didn't push him. It wasn't some old beef you had 50 years ago where you pushed him out of the cart.
No, I didn't do nothing. That's Jimmy DiCarlo. That's Jimmy's.
Oh, okay. Is that what happened?
Not me, bro.
There's no witnesses to this. Anybody see it? Any film? But no, that was a great golf outing. We did good. We raised a lot of money for a lot of good things. We're giving out some scholarships here coming up next year.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being, like you were, you as well as Paul Carpellotti, and a couple other guys, but you and Paul Carpellotti made that golf tournament a reality with your generosity, and we appreciate that, and you're falling right in line with Frankie Colella was all about, and that was giving back to the community, which you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys very much. So who here needs a new car?
Well, what about
Dan Vogel, number one?
I'm going to tell you, hey, listen, we're still trying to work on Dan, but every time I mention go down and see Dan Salee, you know what he tells me? But I got to get my car wrapped. I want it wrapped. I want Ohio Valley Sports Online.
Okay.
But listen, if you can get Dan Vogel to break for a new car, then you're a heck of a salesman. I know that, man.
We're the only broadcasting team comes home in the winter and has to pull off to the side to make sure the car can get up the road for a while.
Yeah, you got to slow down a little bit because it overheats. You know what I mean? We need that sponsorship.
Okay.
Part of your sponsorship from now on has to be a new car for Dan Vogel every 6 months.
The one thing I will make sure I do is try to make that happen for him and not ever ride in a golf cart with you because I'm getting worried. I think if I don't get in the car, you might push me out of the cart.
Well, I ain't pushing nobody out. There might be some synthetic fuel involved, but it is what it is.
Okay.
But Danny, I know you got two dealerships, going on. One in Steubenville, one in Bridgeport. How can people get a hold of you online?
Well, go to OhioMotorGroup.com. You could pick your inventory. You could do a credit app online. There's over 30 pictures of every car that we have online. Prices are clearly marked, so there's no craziness. You can see exactly what the value is of the car, and like I said, we're and keep in mind, cash is king. We're dealing. You come with cash, and we can work on them prices.
Well, I want to tell all our people out there, I came to Dan Salee a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and I drive Cadillacs, and I said, Dan, I want to upgrade my Cadillac. I said, and I want low mileage, and within a week, Dan Salee found me a 2017 Cadillac with 11,000 miles on it. So that's how fast my man works. I am living proof, and I don't like getting rid of the dollar because things are tough to come by. But Dan Salee will come through for you. So call Dan Salee. Dan, best way to get a hold of you.
740-633-0039, 740-284-1300, or the easiest way is the website. Go to OhioMotorGroup.com. You could find us easy. Just Google us. Like I said, check out our reviews. Those are real reviews. They're not bots that you get with these new car stores where some AI things putting all these reviews on. These are real human beings putting on real reviews that we ask for at the time of sale. So, we get those reviews, good, bad, or indifferent, and we appreciate every one of you, even the ones that aren't happy with us. But the majority of it, we got 131 reviews and a 4.1 rating. So I thank all those people for that.
So what's that mean, Dan? Tell us about what that means in your ranking, what you just said.
Well, Google ranking is basically, I believe, 1 to 5. 5 is damn near perfect, which obviously in this business, being since 2009, you can't please everyone all the time. So you're going to get somebody that's going to have maybe their feelings hurt, so to speak. But for the majority, I got to contribute it to my staff doing a really, really good job with the customers because they go out of their way to make sure that the people are happy. Regardless of how much time it takes or how much effort they have to put out. We try to appease everybody as much as we possibly can. And, I mean, truly, I have very little to do with that rating. That is the staff I have. They do an excellent job.
We want to thank you for helping the student-athlete. People don't realize how many viewers that we get. I think in Catholic Central's game last week, it was like maybe 4,000. So hopefully you guys are getting your bang for the buck that you're putting in. But we want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to do golf, to do girls volleyball, to do boys and girls basketball, softball, baseball. If it wasn't for people like you, we couldn't go on. We had 3 college coaches looking at a volleyball coach from OVSO last night. So you're helping these student-athletes, boys and girls, in the Valley, and we want to thank you so much.
And can I just say one last thing in parting?
Absolutely.
You can get a lot of bang for your buck advertising here, which, I believe that you guys do an excellent job, and you do get a lot of views, and it does work. It does pay. So if you're thinking about spending some advertising money, please look into these guys. They will definitely give you the most bang for your buck. You could do it on a small budget. You don't have to pay those TV prices, which I just got a quote for that caused me to go into a coronary here. But listen, it's a great way to advertise, a good bang for your buck. So please check these guys out, and I thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for stopping. This is the Ohio Valley Sports Online with our sponsors, Dan Salih from Ohio Motor Group. We'll be right back with Frank Sisinni of We're High. Thank you for watching.
Blakemore Insurance Agency is exclusive to the senior market. We represent a variety of Medicare supplements or Medicare Advantage plans, giving us the ability to offer some of the most competitive products from the top insurance companies in our country. Our loyalty lies with you, our customer, not the insurance company. Many of today's seniors are completely overwhelmed with turning 65 and going on to Medicare. Call Blakemore Insurance Agency today for more information. 304-723-0909. Blakemore Insurance Agency is a proud sponsor of this broadcast.
You're listening to Ohio Valley Sports Online, the sports authority. If you want to get your message heard, visit us on Facebook and leave a message. Ohio Valley Sports Online is on any connected device, phones, tablets, smart TVs. Follow us on Facebook and don't forget to subscribe free to our YouTube page. Type in OVSO. You will get immediately notified the instant we go live with our next broadcast.
Ohio Valley Sports Online is your sports authority. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Live streaming high school and NCAA sports, plus weekly football coaches shows right here on Ohio Valley Sports Online.
Blakemore Insurance Agency is exclusive to the senior market. We represent a variety of Medicare supplements or Medicare Advantage plans, giving us the ability to offer some of the most competitive products from the top insurance companies in our country. Our loyalty lies with you, our customer, not the insurance company. Many of today's seniors are completely overwhelmed with turning 65 and going on to Medicare. Call Blakemore Insurance Agency today for more information. 304-723-0909. Blakemore Insurance Agency is a proud sponsor of this broadcast.
Never does. Always tells. Welcome back. We're live here. We're live here from the Harp and the Habit in Steubenville for your Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show. Dan just said to me, make sure you mention it's wing night. I always do, Dan. Ray never does. And Ray will send me a text, mention wing night. Yeah, well, it is wing night here at the Harp and Habit, 65-cent wings.
Feel free to.
Actually, we have mine ordered. As soon as I'm done, we time it. Me and my wife been timing it perfect. I go over there and I get my wings as soon as we're done.
So this is Steve Daly. I'm being joined by Tony Lully for the We're High portion of the show. Coach Frank Sisinni, sponsored by Blakemore Insurance. Coach, you had a bye last week. We talked a little bit about, how you would approach that and what you did practice-wise. So you've had 2 weeks basically to prepare for your next opponent, Kaiser, which I'm going to jump right into. Kaiser, I have them coming in at 2-2. Their wins have come against Berkeley Springs, who's currently 2-3. They beat them 55-14. And Hampshire, who's currently 2-3, they beat them 21-13. Their losses were to Robert C. Byrd, who's 2-3, 48-7, and Hedgesville, who's 2-2, 28-21. They're averaging 26 points per game, and they've given up 25.75 points per game. So an even record team. They've pretty much scored as much as they've given up because of the way the scores have played out either side or what have you. But Kaiser, a familiar opponent to you. Talk a little bit about them.
Well, it starts with last year, and, we've had a series with them as the years have gone by, going back to the Sebastian Spencer years, and Tony Filberto had Kaiser on the schedule, and Coach Beisler, who's now the head coach of Morgantown High School, was actually the head coach at that point, and Derek Stevens is now their head coach, and it's still the same philosophy of what they like to do, and why wouldn't they do that? Because they've had success. So they're in a scenario where they're in a rebuild, so to speak, where they have some young kids on the field just as we do. They have a 2-game win streak going on right now, and they're at home. They just had their homecoming game, so they're coming off a little bit of a high there. So other than that, it's a trip out east. You can see a lot of the teams have beaten each other out there, and it's kind of even keel.
Mhm.
So we're anxious to get out to see another in-state opponent and to see where we're at since we had to said last week our reset to get us back into a winnable scenario where the small attainable goals need to happen with this group, and we saw that throughout the bye week and now into this week with the prep. One at a time is what we were talking about, whether it's one rep to one series, one half to one full game, and then build from there. So we're just looking at small successes to get us where we need to be. And, when you talk about Kaiser football, you have to be ready because you go out there, they're a little bit hard-nosed kids.
Right.
You look to have your quarterback back this week?
Yes, he's ready to go. He's had a great week and a half. Lucas is, flicking the ball around the field. We got, receivers running around. It's really upbeat, high tempo, a lot of excitement. So it's fun to watch because, when you go through a tough part of the year, it kind of tests your character and it exposes a little bit, and you learn from that. And I've told those young kids that this is part of the challenge, that we have to get better regardless of what's going on, and we'll learn from those mistakes and limit and not let them happen again.
Yeah.
And just try to, get the ball in the right hands, and that starts with Lucas and the way Lucas plays. And, he's a very capable kid, and, we're ready to see how he plays this week whenever we go out east.
How's the attitude during practices?
Very good.
You've had full prep. You haven't had any weather issues, any extracurricular, any issues that you couldn't practice? All practices have been.
Yeah, a few weeks ago we couldn't have a practice before a game, and now we're good to go. And like I said, we spent a lot of time in the film room because we had that extra time to do that. We spent some time in the weight room, and we also have been out there, doing the X's and O's and, prepping the game plan and making sure these kids are cerebral so they know what's going on with the game plan between the ears, and they understand what they're going to do in certain scenarios. So we're ready to roll.
What do you think the biggest advantage of having a bye week here with your kids? Is it the rest? Is it the film time? Is it the kind of reset attitude? What do you think?
It's almost all the above. You kind of get beat down mentally and physically there, for a minute. Now, the combined records of the teams that we had played during that stretch is 13-3. One team ranked number one in the state of West Virginia in their class, and obviously you see what Toronto football is having success, and obviously, Andrew and Indian Creek are always going to have that success. So you see what they're doing right now. So we were challenged there. We knew we were getting into. That's why we built our schedule the way we do. So now it's on to Kaiser, Frankfurt last week, and we are going to, use it as a benefit the best we can. I think there's a bunch of answers there and layers to it.
Sure.
And how we can get better. It's just how can this young team, turn the corner.
Yeah, very, very good. It's a good challenge. And there's a lot to learn, right? You kind of lean into it, and you've got young kids.
Mm-hmm. Now, you don't want to obviously give anything away,
No,
you
I
know.
can't do that.
But
why would I do that?
Looking at the early part of the year, like you said, I was going to bring that point up. The teams that you played, I mean, you played some very good football teams to start the year off with, and and it's kind of tough, when you're going against an opponent like that, to kind of narrow things down and say, okay, this is what we did well, so let's focus on this and build off of this, so on and so forth. But now, going into, you don't want to say lesser competition, but more comparable competition as far as experience goes with the players that are on the field, so on and so forth. Are there any little new tweaks maybe that you put in over the last 2 weeks?
That's tough, Coach.
Well, I guess
without giving anything away, I just want to say,
Gotcha.
Yes or no.
It's funny that you say that.
Dan,
because,
bleep out Kaiser.
well, I have been watching them and their online stuff out there, so if they're watching, they're watching. But You got to prepare for everything. We have packages that involve a lot of our talent. We had a week where Demir Mauter was quarterback, and so there's always a package of things for him, and you have a package that Lucas has been working, and we've had some people come back healthy. That now there's some things that we're doing differently that we have done throughout this whole couple-week process. That now we're seeing some different looks with different talent that's there. Same thing on the defensive side. Same thing on the special team side. So it's cyclical when it comes to high school football. You try to keep that even keel success as best you can, but there's also that element of you have a bunch of kids that are rotating in and out, and you're going to have big graduating classes, and sometimes you're in a reset mode like we're in, but you have a lot of talent at times, and at times it's, get them out there and get them going. So I don't want to say too much. I'm kind of like beating around the bush a little bit, but I do understand there are some things there that we have ready to roll.
That's one of the things I always found most enjoyable about coaching high school football. Being at the college level now for 6 years, it's kind of like, this is our system, this is what we do. With high school, from year to year, you got to look at who you have coming back. Let's make adjustments. Okay, we can still do this. Maybe this is something we didn't do last year, but I now have a group that I think could excel at that. I mean, that's the fun part really of high school football, in my opinion, is figuring those things out and moving the pieces where you can have success.
Yeah, because both levels, I don't care, above us, college and pro, you're recruiting and drafting that. And high school, it's the hand you're dealt, and you try to maintain your philosophies. But sometimes you sit with a group and go, okay, we got to get rid of that. Or we can add this, or this is something this kid can do.
Or
start, things we could do. That you guys know, you guys been in high school for a long time. So in the Carolinas, right? I know that, and I know, Coach, you were in Ohio here coaching a little bit.
For a little while, yeah.
A little while. So I know you guys understand wholeheartedly what comes at you from year to year. And that is true. There's a lot of fun things that happen with the game planning and how you do things and how things change from year to year. And it's almost like morphed as it happens in that off season, and how you develop your identity in that weight room. And then you kind of see what you can do, and then you start that little litmus test thing where you're doing some things in June and kind of experimenting in the passing game with other teams in 7-on-7, and then you start hitting in August, and then it's go time. You see where you're at.
From a high school standpoint, you have the chance to get on these personal relationships, because you have to know what the kids are able to handle, and unlike the college, it's very much more impersonal, right? You're bringing the kids in for your system. In high school, you got to get to know your kids, because even though your system can stay, some of them don't really have the IQ to do the plays that you really want to, so you have to adapt it to their personal skill levels and stress level.
Absolutely, and it's a very fluid thing, and it's always moving, and you adapt and change, and try to get your successes on Friday night the best you can based on what you do during that practice plan and the game week and all that stuff. So it's part of it.
And then depends on what the girlfriend's doing, right?
Well, there's always a dynamic there, the outside.
They're not allowed to have girlfriends during the season, Tony.
No, we can't.
That's what I always told them. They never listen, but that's what I always told them. But anyway, Coach, we talked in the past, Kaiser offensively, what they do. We talked a little bit last week about how you're going to prepare for that. Talk a little bit before we go about Kaiser's defense, if you don't mind.
Well, they've got some, every level. There's, like I said, similar to us, the way they do some things. They have some play that comes off the edge, and they're aggressive towards the quarterback. They got some nice linebacker that comes up and fills gaps and stuff. But they also have a couple young kids in there as well. There's a couple freshmen at each level. They have some issues with injuries as well when it comes to their back end and how they do things in their secondary. So, they're kind of moving, their pieces around just as we are when they had their quarterback out, who's also one of their DBs, and now he's back in the mix since their homecoming game. He's a left-handed quarterback, can throw, but he's also one of those kids that can cover in the back end. So it's a defense that's active and physical, but we think that there are some spots where they have some youth just like us, and we're going to go ahead and, there's that cliche, take what they give us, but we're going to go ahead and do the opposite. We're going to go ahead and do what we can, how we can exploit their areas and their defense and go right at it.
Right.
So, what time you think you guys will be heading out? It's about 4 hours. Is it a 4 hour?
Yeah.
drive?
Well, and that's one thing good about what's happening here is we had just done that trip, and we're looking at a 10:37 dismissal, and then we'll eat in Washington, PA, and then give ourselves a couple hours for dinner. We have a nice sit-down dinner there, and then we'll hit the road again and account for any, issues that could come up on the road. And that gives us about 2 hours from Washington, PA to get out to the Eastern Panhandle. And this one's a little bit farther than Frankfort. So we'll be hitting Cumberland area, anyone who knows where that area is, and heading about 30 minutes south.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's basically our itinerary for that day. And it'll be a long day, but it'll be a fun day because we'll be, out of school a little bit early, and we'll be hitting the road and a little bit of a road trip.
Yeah, the trees ought to be pretty.
Oh, when you hit that part, yeah. I've done that trip a few times, actually with Cam Jones, because Cam's at JMU, and I've done that trip out there and this time of year with out on Interstate 68. Anyone's been through that Morgantown area all the way through there.
Yeah.
And then Shenandoah Valley's way down in there. But, yeah, it should be, a nice trip for that. But it's always a better trip when you're coming home after that win, right?
That's right.
Those trips are quicker.
That's right.
And they don't take as long, and there's less to talk about on the way back. It's all happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and we're really hoping that's the case for you this week, Coach.
Yeah, we're anxious to see that ourselves.
Yeah. The bye week came at a good time for you. You got healthy. You got to work on some things, and we wish you the best of luck as you head out to Kaiser Friday night.
Yeah, we're excited about the opportunity, and it's a scenario where our coaches are coaching them up, and our kids are fighting hard and still buying into what's going on, and we're just ready to go out there and try to get that W back on the right column and get going.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Coach.
Good luck to
Thanks,
you,
Coach.
We'll see you next week,
Coach.
Coach.
For being here.
All right, appreciate you.
That was Coach Frank Sisinni. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with Steubenville Catholic Central head coach Eric Meek.
Fort Steuben Maintenance should be your first choice when it comes to any and all construction projects, whether it's commercial or residential. Make Fort Steuben Maintenance your first call. You can rely on them to be the experts when it comes to roofing, concrete, plumbing, carpentry, just about any job that needs done. Fort Steuben Maintenance, they're fully licensed and bonded and will even give you a free estimate. Fort Steuben Maintenance. You want the number? 740-283-4890.
You're listening to Ohio Valley Sports Online, the sports authority. If you want to get your message heard, visit us on Facebook and leave a message. Ohio Valley Sports Online is on any connected device, phones, tablets, smart TVs. Follow us on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe free to our YouTube page. Type in OVSO. You will get immediately notified the instant we go live with our next broadcast.
Ohio Valley Sports Online is your sports authority. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Live streaming high school and NCAA sports, plus weekly football coaches shows right here on Ohio Valley Sports Online.
Thank you, National Colloid, for sponsoring this broadcast. A National Colloid company with over 75 years in the chemical industry can take care of all your chemical blending needs.
Looking for a great deal on a pre-owned vehicle? Ohio Motor Group has you covered. Visit us in Steubenville, Bridgeport, or online. We've got cars, trucks, and SUVs to fit every budget and lifestyle. Bad credit? No problem. We offer guaranteed credit approval. If we can't approve you, no one can. Check out our inventory online at ohiomotorgroup.com or stop by one of our locations today. Drive away in your dream car.
Thank you, National Colloid, for sponsoring this broadcast. A National Colloid company with over 75 years in the chemical industry can take care of all your chemical blending needs.
This broadcast is brought to you by Ohio Valley Sports Online, your sports authority. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get instantly notified when we go live on our next broadcast, only on Ohio Valley Sports Online.
All right, we're back here live from the Harp and Habit in Steubenville, Ohio, Franciscan Square for Wing Night. Wing Night at the Harp and the Habit, 65 cents per wing. Yeah, Coach had some wings, got some sitting in front here, so just to let Ray know I mentioned it again. And this portion of the show, Steubenville Catholic Central head coach Eric Meek, being sponsored by National Colloid Company. Coach, coming off of a big win over Weird-Madonna, 48-0 to improve to 5-1 on the year. Currently, your Crusaders sit at number 2 in the computer rankings in Division 7, Region 27. Talking a little bit about, just to recap quickly, that Madonna game. The offense accumulated over 400 yards, 370 of those coming on the ground with 5 touchdowns. The defense forced 4 turnovers. Jimmy Hernan finished with 14 carries for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had a 6-yard receiving touchdown. Tommy Purgie added 18 carries for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2 of Matthew Sprock's 3 completions went for touchdowns. And the defense held the Madonna offense to just 50 total yards and recorded 4 takeaways. 2 of those interceptions, one by Noah Huff and one by Johnny Kostecki. So let's talk about that Madonna game a little bit, Coach. First, the offensive play.
Yeah, we just played really, really well, and I always tell the kids everywhere I've been when it gets to October, you got to turn it up because some teams get a little tired, especially if you're not winning. Whether you're winning or not, though, I feel you really, if you're healthy, you need to play your best football this upcoming month in order to play in November. And I told the kids today, can we improve Saturday from last week? Because we played really well. Very proud of everybody on all sides of the ball, special teams, everything. And, but offensively, we moved the ball. We were physical. We had to be physical. We ran hard. We blocked well. I was real happy with Matthew Sprockeye and the receiving core when we, especially right before the second quarter, that score was 13-0 and we scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes of the ball game of the half. So, the big difference, 13-0 kicking off to them first in the second half and 34-0.
Right.
It's a whole different mindset. And the kids, the kids came out in the second half. There's my kids right there. And they came out in the second half and, played really good football. And it was a good win, and it was a great win the way we played. And, we just need now to get better every day. Every single day we need to get better.
It's got to feel really good that you've put together back-to-back games where the offenses really put up some big numbers and points as well. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, I remember I think it was after St. John's, we were sitting outside there, and I said, I really would like to start scoring more points.
Right.
A win is a win, but since we said that, we've done that. And, so we put up, 32 and then 48, so 80 points. But, the other thing is, we've been real physical since the Strasburg game. Very, very physical. The last 4 games in a row, I feel we've really physically kind of dominated the game when it mattered most. So that's something that I'm real proud of the kids. We lift hard in season. We lifted again today. We lifted Tuesday. We lifted Monday. We lifted all summer during August camp. And, we just don't – it's just not a free lift. I mean, Coach Brown and Coach White are in there, and they just do a really good job with them.
Right.
Coach, the offense was good, but I'd like to talk about defense. The the biggest thing that jumped out is you were playing a high-powered, spread them out, get you in space, fast team, and you played what we used to look like 21, where you had your two free safeties that were open, that were just free to run. You only had to play 5 in the box, and then you manned up everybody. And wow, it was very effective. I mean, they were high scoring, but they were very effective. Now, was that something a scheme that you came up with just for Weirton Madonna?
We've done something similar to that. The other teams like them. And we also had a personnel issue. We were down 2 defensive backs for that ball game. Our junior, Zach Bryan, he's out for the year with his hand. And then Raheem Mitchell, the freshman. So we're down 2 guys. Raheem will be back. This week we don't know. It's questionable. He could be back, but I'm hoping he'll be back for sure next week, but we got to wait and see. So we have had what we said we needed to do is we had to find a way to get our best 11 people on the field against a team like Madonna, and we were able to do that. And it was kind of a combination of the scheme against their offense with the personnel we had available. And a young man who's been playing some, a sophomore, Nate Irvin, stepped in, and he was like an extra linebacker, and we put Timmy Mahalio back with some help in front of him.
Yeah.
And, we had to move Jimmy Hernan around. So, we're facing a little different team this week, obviously. So, we'll have to wait and see what we're going to do this week.
Yeah,
I know what we're doing, but you guys are going to wait and see.
They're very impressive in the way they just stifled a high-powered offense. I mean, you had them shut. But I know the key was you can't just put any 5 guys in the box. When you got guys like you have up front, you're basically daring them to run.
Well, Ted Kostecki's our defensive coordinator, and all my coaches do a great job. We got a small staff, but it's an excellent staff. And my dad, he don't like me saying he's 84, but he's going to be 84 in November. But as his mind is as sharp as can be when it comes to football, and he comes down from East Palestine every Sunday. He helps my brother on Saturday, then comes to our game. And then he comes down, and we were down there. Me, him, and Teddy sit in there for about 4 hours together, and then I go in my room and do offense and special teams. And so they really have worked well together, Ted and my dad. And of course, Ted runs things through the week and on game night. But, we got a lot of good people in our support system, even if they're not everyday coaches who do a lot for our program.
They executed it very well. And there's one thing I kept saying, Tommy Purgie, I don't think he gets enough props from a defensive standpoint, but he's a downhill player, coach. Wow. I mean,
Tommy,
he's quick,
Tommy
he comes down and he's not afraid.
Tommy Purgie is a physical kid. And, he the one where the quarterback broke contain and kept it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, no, he's going to get 25 yards. And then here comes Tommy
like
out of
a
nowhere.
bullet.
And I tell you what, he's a very physical kid. And he's a nice kid, too. And that's what's great about it. Real proud. I've coached some great safeties. I've said it. He's one of the best I've had. I've had some good kids. I don't want to start mentioning names, but
sure.
I can think of a kid I had at Toronto. I can think of a kid I had at Weir, a couple at Wellsville that were awesome safeties, and Tommy's right there with them.
Yeah, he's very impressed. But I kept telling Ray, we don't talk enough about Tommy Purgie on the defensive side because he does everything you need to do on the offensive side. Catches, passes, runs, but. Boy, defensive side, boy.
And then, when you look at the yardage that he and Jimmy put up on offense, Tommy had another, I feel bad, he's had 4 big long runs brought back this year. One was the other night. But, all of our kids, everybody, the offensive line played well, the defensive line, our linebacker, secondary.
It's in your 2 ends.
Mm-hmm.
So impressive.
Yeah.
So impressive.
Yeah, we had that discussion about, putting Peyton Rouch at end, and I was the one that was real hesitant on the staff. And then one of my coaches said, well, we got Cam over there, Bradley. And, because, Huff was there last year.
Right.
And then we moved Noah back because we lost both of our inside linebackers. Right. And he's done a great job there. And him and Kyron Busick and Nate Irvin. But, now it's like Cam is playing so well at the other end. It's like, okay, who do you want to run to?
And you actually play Bradley a little bit. You stand him up and put him a linebacker.
Yeah.
And he does well. I mean, those guys can run. Really.
Yeah, he's a basketball player, so he can move. 4.0 student also.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, very impressive.
So, Coach, this week – take a little step up as far as playing a school that has a much larger enrollment than what you do in Oak Glen. They do enter the game at 0-5, but I don't want people to be deceived by that because their losses have come to Weir High, 40-21 in the opener, which is a rivalry game. St. Mary's, who's perennially a good team, a good program, 28-0. Edison, who's currently 5-1, 51-6. Toronto, who's currently 4-2, 53-13, and Berkeley Springs comes in at 2-3, 27-12. So their opponents have a combined overall winning record. Oak Glen has struggled a little bit offensively this year. They only average about 10.4 points per game. They've given up 39.8. Through those 5 games, they don't throw it much. They throw for 97 yards, but they have accumulated 890 yards rushing on the season with 3 different runners. Devin Juzak is their leading rusher, Josh Mayer, and Evan Clouston. They run the ball 88% of the time. And I know Coach Taylor gives some different looks and runs what can be a pretty complex offense. So let's focus on Oak Glen and talk about Oak Glen's offense first.
Well, first off, Doug and I are very close. He was my offensive coordinator at Weir High. We coached against each other when he won the state title at Madonna, and I was at Toronto. And we were on the radio broadcast together for a couple of years, same broadcast team, and we were out of coaching. So we're very close. We have an excellent respect for each other. And, you're right. They ran the ball a ton, but you got to understand they have went through a couple different quarterbacks, and at the end of the game they had 9 in, and he's a little different. He threw the ball.
Okay.
So, we're going to be prepared for them maybe to try to mix it up a little more than usual. But also, 23 is very good back. He's quick. And, we keep watching that. We were at that Edison game a few weeks back, and they took 7 minutes off the clock and took it right down the field for an opening score. And that's what if that happens, that could be like a St. John's game a couple weeks ago when each team only got 6 possessions in the ball game, and we won with 5 seconds to go.
Right.
So we're very concerned. I hope my players are watching this because you won a lot of games as a head coach at Catholic Central, and they're hearing what you just said about them being a bigger school.
Right.
And they're 0-5, and kids are kids.
Yes.
We can't afford. We need to get better this week. And if we don't get better, we're going to lose this ball game.
Right.
And you're exactly right. So I hope they're listening because they got 2 outstanding defensive tackles, and that's a concern because we like to run the ball.
Right. Tony?
Yeah, and to my experience, the wing tee, if you don't face it all the time, it's a big equalizer.
Yep.
Because if you have you can be outweighed by 20, 30 pounds, but if a smaller guy gets the angle on you, right, and you run that way, they handle that misdirection. I'll tell you, I was at the Weir High game, and the thing that beat them on the Weir High game is they turned the ball over. Right. Now, of course, you're sustaining, like you were saying, if they keep the ball away from you, right, and they grind it out, because I know it's going to be their goal to go four down.
Right. I mean, it could very easily, if it goes that way with both teams, It could be a 14-13 ball score at the end of the game. And, but you're exactly right. Not only that, but all of a sudden you got 2 or 3 guys coming through a gap, running downhill, leading for the ball carrier.
And all they need is a gap, right?
And, it's real interesting you said that because, again, my dad's a very wise guy, and he said to me Sunday at our meeting, he says, and it makes me think of Oak Glen's offense. All this new stuff today, when we played in the 80s, everyone was in the eye and full house, and it was block down, kick out, and you practice that. Well, now you don't practice that because teams aren't doing it.
Right.
So when you get to a team that likes to really run the ball and will put double tight and an extra back in the backfield, and it's not all the spread read and the throwing the ball.
In there.
Teams, it's hard for teams in a day or two to practice that and get ready. And then when, that's only for so many plays, and then in the real game, it's probably different.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we played, we saw that every day at practice and every week in the game. But the game has changed.
Right.
So we do kind of have a unique offense, and so does Oak Glen. So our kids need to get ready, too, and buckle back down. It'll be more like a St. John's week. I really think it'll be that type of game.
Right. I always said wing T guys are like a cult. Triple option guys are too, though, Coach. That's why I always ran triple option because much like the wing T, it can be an equalizer. It really can. It's difficult to prepare for. It's something your kids aren't used to running. And it's something that your kids aren't used to seeing. So definitely going to be a challenge for you this week. Tony, you got anything additional?
No, sure don't.
Well, we'll be there Saturday night, Coach. We'll be covering the game. It'll be myself and Ray Saccoccia covering the game Saturday night.
I'm going to be in Huntington. I'm going down Marshall Homecoming.
So Tony will be enjoying his little sabbatical in Huntington, West Virginia. But I'm looking forward to it, Coach. I haven't seen you guys since, I think your opener. I haven't done one of your games since the opener. So I'll be back up there and see how the kids have progressed and developed over that course of time live. I'd rather see a game live than watching it on TV. So we wish you the best of luck.
Okay,
take on the Oak Glen Golden Bears.
And I do want to say something. I got a chance to meet Mr. and Mrs. Rouse after the game. I was so impressed. I just felt real humbled. I mean, they were like, they thought it was, they think very much of what we do in OVSO, and they were, it made me feel very nice and very welcome. They seem like they're very nice people. And I just wanted to say hello to them.
Well, that was Peyton. He's in the other room. Some of our kids are here. We got great parents at Central. I mean, my wife and I talk about it all the time. The people are just so, even the first year when we didn't win, people have been so friendly and so welcoming and so professional. And, it's a really a nice group of people to be around with, whether it's at my daughter's volleyball game or at events or fundraisers or the fish fry after the game. People are real classy.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that, my family.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you do.
All right. So that has been.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you being here.
Head Coach Eric Meek of Stewart Catholic Central Crusaders. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with Weirton Madonna head coach John McCune.
The Weirton Law Firm of Rokiski, McCune, Wilharm, and Blair focuses on helping families plan for the future. The attorneys at Rokiski, McCune, Wilharm, and Blair will help you with estate planning, protecting your assets from long-term nursing costs, and maximizing your income from oil and gas interests, giving your family peace of mind for the future and the ability to enjoy the benefits of your hard work. Rokiski, McCune, Wilharm, and Blair also handles a variety of personal injury and wrongful death claims. Call Rokiski, McCune, Wilharm, and Blair today at 304-748-3200 for your free consultation. Let's go Blue. You're listening to Ohio Valley Sports Online, the sports authority. If you want to get your message heard, visit us on Facebook and leave a message. Ohio Valley Sports Online is on any connected device, phones, tablets, smart TVs. Follow us on Facebook and don't forget to subscribe free to our YouTube page. Type in OVSO. You will get immediately notified the instant we go live with our next broadcast.
All right, we're back here live. High Valley Sports Online Coaches Show from the Harp and Habit in Franciscan Square in Steubenville, Ohio on wing night. So I got it in again, Dan. Gave it 3 plugs. Yeah.
Not me yet.
We're being joined now by Weird Madonna head coach John McCune. This portion of the show is sponsored by Rakiski, McCune, Wilharm, and Blair. Coach, coming off of a tough one this past week against Steubenville Catholic Central as they moved to 5-1 on the year. Their defense limited your offense tremendously. The run game came up huge for them, which is their strength. You knew that coming in. You mentioned, and we've all been there, it could be a wake-up call for your guys, right? Talk a little bit about some of the things that went wrong in the game and why it's kind of important. And they're tough to take when you take a loss like this during the season, but why it's important that sometimes that happens.
Well, I think just before the game even started, me and the coaching staff got together as the kids were getting rah, and literally one of the coaches said, man, I hope they don't think they just won in the locker room, because there's a lot of football to be played before we even play a snap. And, the kids can get real built up. So I'll even take a little blame. We probably let them get a little too riled up. You got to stay focused and know the task at hand. And, started the game. I mean, we won the toss like we wanted. We deferred. We got them off the field. We got the football. So right to the start, I mean, it was kind of scripted the way we wanted it to be. Their defense just was a lot faster, bigger, and stronger than what we probably even anticipated as a coaching staff. Coach Meek had those boys ready to play. They fly downfield. They keyed on some of our plays, and I was impressed. I mean, the Rouch boy was all over the football field, which that's been happening all year. But all of them. The Sprock guy played great on big Andre Crossland when he was outside. I mean, you name it, and that game just started ballooning on us quickly. I mean, it was 13-0 with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the second quarter. As a coaching staff, we're just saying, all right, let's get out of this half, get the football. Before you know it, interception, touchdown, kickoff, fumble, touchdown, quick 3-and-out, good punt return, touchdown. And that's all positive stuff for Central. I mean, that's stuff they did that forced that to happen. It wasn't really our guys, I felt like, making bad mistakes. It was the pressure that was coming at us. Maddox really showed his true colors, I think, of being a freshman. He had big bugged eyes at halftime. I mean, it's an extremely good football team. I'm happy that we get to continue to play a team like that of their caliber, because our guys needed it. There's no doubt about it. And I won't make any excuses for the way we played. It's not up to my standards. It's not up to the players' standards. So things don't get easier for us. But I'm a fan of Steubenville Central and the way they play the game, the way Coach Meek coaches his team. I feel like we can continue to play and build a friendship. So the score's the score. It is what it is. So
right,
Coach. So looking at their defensive scheme, I was curious going in to see how they were going to handle the space, your speed, and so forth. I think if you see how they played, it was very effective. Their scheme was very effective. I think it could teach you and your staff something. I don't know if anyone tried to play. They played 2 free safeties and then manned underneath. Of course, they got 5 real good guys inside to limit your ability to run the ball, which is really where it all starts, right?
Yep, and we ran the ball decently. I felt like through the A gaps, but trying to get outside on those 2 big ends. And, I was even a little surprised when they had was it Bradley? You guys were saying Cameron? Yeah, when they put him out that outside linebacker spot.
Right.
What a move. I mean, that just shows you, 150 wins for Coach Meek. I mean, he knows what to do. So putting him out there really made it tough for our slot guys to get across the middle of the field, big, long. But, a lot of the stuff, too. I guess one benefit of the game kind of getting out of hand, a lot of the stuff that we schemed during the week, we didn't even get to run. Once it started going south, you're just trying to stay on the field, keep possessions alive, taking one possession at a time, and so we got a lot of stuff in our back pocket for this week that we didn't really get to unleash, I guess. But they came downfield so quick. It was good to see. And then obviously when Wes went out, that's tough. He's our main workhorse in the middle, being able to run the football. Matt Gear did serviceable, and Matt's a heck of a defensive football player. But that little center, Johnny, I know Coach was talking about him last week. Kostecki. I mean, Matt Gears is, to me, is as good as you're going to see as a defensive lineman, and Johnny Kostecki he was able to bottleneck Matt up all night, and Matt got in there and made some plays as any playmaker does. But Johnny, I give that little center some props, man.
Mm-hmm. Tough kid.
Yeah, he's tough, and he's only a sophomore, so we're gonna have to deal with that kid for 2 more years.
Yeah, and you mentioned your quarterback. When you have pressure, right? And he was only a freshman, right? And so you could see that because you're playing against a little bit better players. He had to make decisions. He could scramble, but he was scrambling for a purpose, right?
Oh yeah.
He couldn't just scramble to look for people. He was looking out for himself, and
rightfully so.
He's a freshman, sure.
I mean, we were hoping that rain would have went away personally too. I mean, that still wouldn't have made any outcome different as far as a win or loss. But that's something we haven't seen since we really practiced. We've had a drought around here, so Maddox. We knew we were going to try to get the ball out quickly and throw the football around, and I definitely think the rain, came into play, especially the one interception. I mean, he didn't get tipped or anything. It slipped out of his hand, and 75 just caught it, and that kid made a sweet play. I was almost rooting for him once he was going down the sidelines, big boy tumbling down, he probably returned that ball 20 yards. So, the game ballooned on us, and that they're a heck of a football team, and I wish nothing but the best for Steubenville Central moving forward. And back to your point, I think of, it's a gut check time. I mean, I think, our boys, we reiterate to them, we beat some decent football teams, but nothing to the caliber of Steubenville Central. So, now we got a tough Cameron team coming in who's hungry, only lost 8 points against Edison. So I think they're more aware of we're not unbeatable. We only got 18 kids. I mean, Logan Brown had pneumonia, and he tried to give it a go against Central. He only played about a quarter. Molish went down. I mean, the injury bug hits us. We're gonna be in trouble.
Right. As you mentioned there, things don't get any easier this week. As you take on Cameron, who enters at 4-1. I'm just going to go through their information here, and then we'll give you an opportunity to talk about them, Coach. As you mentioned, they lost their opener to Edison, who's currently 5-1, 30-22. Their wins have come against 100, 35-0. St. Mary's, 46-21. Magnolia, 52-16. And Tyler Consolidated 13-6. Now those wins have come against opponents that are combined 3-13, but they averaged 33.6 points per game. They've given up 14.6 per game. They're a heavy run team. They've run the ball in 83% of their plays. They've accumulated over 1,000 yards on the ground. He's made over half the team's receptions on the year, and over half of those have come for touchdowns. Gone for touchdowns. Defensively, they forced 6 turnovers this year and recorded 5 sacks. So talk a little bit about the Dragons.
Well, they used the spread to run the football. Those 2 running backs that you said, Wallace and 28, but they accommodate themselves really nice. Wallace is more north-south runner. He's I think a state championship wrestler, real strong, stout kid. He loves to throw the stiff arm. He's going to get north and south on you. Then they kind of complement him with that number 28, he's quick, and he gets out, and they'll run pitches with him and try to get him in space. But we anticipate them to try to obviously run the football. So we got a different scheme we're going to kind of throw at them this week. Hopefully Wes is available for us. It sounds like he's going to play. But that Mason Scott, he's obviously the guy that the quarterback's targeting. And they lost their starting quarterback of 4 years last year, and this kid's stepping in this year. And I don't know his name, but I know he's number 8, and I know he keeps plays alive. And even watching the Edison film and some of the other ones, a lot of those plays were actually him scrambling and getting out of the pocket. He doesn't want to run unless he has to, but he's very shifty, and he's got a good running back like Wallace who's blocking for him. So we got to make sure we get eyes on him, because once he gets moving, I know he burnt Edison a couple of times getting out of the pocket. So, we're going to have our hands full defensively. There's no doubt. It's going to be nice to have Colton back to be able to lock down, hopefully, Scott and get a couple other guys. Andre's finally fully healthy from his knee injury. So our secondary should be able to, I think, match up. What we're excited about, like going from a Steubenville Central team, which is they were just big across the line. Cameron, they're going to be more of our size, but they're so well coached by Coach Brown that their line fires off the ball. I mean, the way you want to teach it. I mean, there's no one's standing up on that defensive line. They're coming in. They normally run a 4-man front, but the size thing, our left tackle. Ben Leisure, he had his hands full against Rouch, and there's a couple of times Rouch bull rushed him. I don't expect that. I expect a much better game from Ben this week to be able to match up with their speed and their strength. So, I think up front it should be a hard-nosed football game. I just hope the guys come ready to play. I mean, you take a butt whooping like we took last week. For a football team like us and where we want to go, we need to play well on Friday. I mean, no matter the outcome of the score, just as a coaching staff, we want our boys to succeed, get some drives. Obviously score some points, but defensively we can't tackle the way we tackled. I mean, the film is just so frustrating to watch last week of people just expecting the other person to make the tackle. There's a lot of people standing around, so that's something we worked on this week. Just finishing tackles, not anticipating that your partner's going to make it. Just get on top of it. It's a gang tackle type of game. So and Wallace, he's a hard runner. So yeah, we're excited about it.
Casey Angel is the quarterback's name. I knew I had it in here somewhere in my folder.
But it looks like they haven't missed a beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's really filled the role nicely, and I expect him to just be one of their better players on the football field Friday.
Right.
There's something that I saw. I think to your benefit is when I was watching them, they are very similar to what you do. Mm-hmm. Catholic Central trying to replicate that in your practice. Was as much a challenge as anything, but these guys are pretty much you're kind of playing yourself from a scheme perspective. I think in the size perspective, I also see that it will be a little more comparable.
Yeah. And you nailed it. I mean, we're not going to make any excuses, but only having 18 healthy players. Like today, I don't know if you guys saw me limping in. I was scout team quarterback today, and I don't even care because I told the kids there was a couple things that went on this week, and I was hot, and I told them I was going to be the first one to draw blood in practice today, and we went at them with our scout team, and I'm going to feel it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, Coach, I was young once too, and used to do things like that. But you find out there comes a point where you start saying, "I'm going to walk through this. I want you to watch real close, and then I'm going to have you do it."
But Coach, we tried that last week, so I said, you know what, I'll take one for the team. I even made Coach Comis come in and play some quarterback.
Yeah, did you?
Oh yeah, he was slinging the ball downfield for us today. We had a good practice and we had fun today doing it. But we just not having the numbers and trying to build an offense and defense to go against some of these stout teams that are really good. It doesn't put you at a disadvantage. It just kind of makes it you don't get the same look, and sometimes it might take a quarter or two.
Right.
Which I thought we did the opposite. I thought we matched the intensity of the first couple of drives, and then the kids just kind of just fell out of the football game. And there's nothing like when you're taking a pound in a football to try to keep kids like into the football game. I mean, a lot of times they just want to bunkle in and go home. I mean, we're hurting. Scores there. The game's on TV. Everyone's watching. It was a somber moment for us in the locker room as a football team, and I think we're going to learn from it. We're going to grow.
That's good.
And we still got a lot of football ahead of us.
Oh, absolutely.
And this team, I'm proud of the way the boys kind of responded after the football game and just the moment we had in the locker room together. I won't go into details, but it's one of those times as a coach, you're just proud of the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think that there's a lot that you can learn going into the playoffs. You're going to be challenged again, right? Yeah. You can lean into this one, and there's a lot that you can learn with your kids.
Real quick, I tell everybody, I said schools like Central and Toronto and some of the ones up and down the river, I mean, they got almost so unlucky by 5 miles. You bring those teams over into West Virginia, I mean, Steubenville Central, they're a top 3 single-way football team tomorrow. And that's no knock on the rest of the state, but that's just the reality. If Toronto was over here, think about what they could do in the single-A level. Right. I mean, they'd be really able to do it, and that's something we're not reiterating to our players. But guys, it's okay. We're playing some good teams. We need to be ready for these other teams if we decide to make a playoff push.
Right,
so.
and it's going to pay dividends down the road, absolutely, for your kids. So, Tony, anything else?
No, I'm excited for you guys to get back on the winning trail.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tony.
Yeah, so that was head coach John McCune of the Weird Madonna Blue Dogs. Coach, best of luck this week as your team takes on the Cameron Dragons. Well, that's going to be a wrap for us here from the Harp and Habit in Steubenville, Ohio. I want to remind everybody, Wednesday nights here is wing night. Our schedule coming up. We have volleyball tomorrow night, Dan. Big Red and Weird volleyball tomorrow night. We'll be bringing you audio of Steubenville Big Reds as they take on Lindsley. That'll be Ray Saccoccia and Tony Lelly on that game. Myself and Jim DiCarlo is going to bring you a special presentation. It's going to be Caldwell at Barnesville on Friday night. We're going to go check out the undefeated Barnesville Shamrocks. That'll be live stream, video and audio. And then Saturday night, myself and Ray Saccoccia will be at Harding Stadium as the Catholic Central Crusaders take on the Oakland Golden Bears. I want to thank our sponsors, the Harp and Habit here in Steubenville, Fort Steuben Maintenance, SVRTA and Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Blakemore Insurance, National Colloid Company, and Rakiski, McCune, Wilharm, and Blair. On behalf of Ray Saccoccia and Jim DiCarlo, Tony Lelly, Dan Vogel, this has been Steve Daly, the Ohio Valley Sports Online, the Sports Authority Coaches Show. We'll see you soon.